welcome or welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by, I hope you're good, and welcome to another D&D themed reading vlog. This time we are doing martial classes. We're going to go through that in a minute, but before we get started, the cat should be out of the bag now, and you should know that all this D&D content that me and Smash have been doing is because we're doing a readathon. It genuinely did start as I was going to do a vlog reading like the D&D classes, and it just spiraled. It absolutely spiraled, and we've been having such a blast. I'll leave the announcement video up here, and yeah, I'm both terrified about this readathon and also like super excited because like building it with Smash has been so much fun. We put a lot of work into it, and I just hope that everyone has a good time. I'm a little bit nervous, but mostly excited. But back to the point of this video, which is to read like the martial classes. So I've obviously already done my 3 magical classes. If you haven't seen the other vlog, I'll link it up here. But basically me and Smash took the D&D classes, the 12 basic D&D classes, we divided them equally so that we had 3 magical and 3 martial classes between us, and we're reading books that fit that vibe. My magical vlog, spoiler if you haven't seen it, it didn't go well. I had a DNF and 2 stars. The manga went differently. The manga went okay. So I'm reading a book and a manga per class, and Smash is doing 2 books per class. Yeah, so my books did not go well. So I'm really hoping that is not going to be the case. I am more confident about the picks for the martial classes. Full disclosure, some of the ones that I had planned, or one of the books that I had planned for the martial vlog, I switched out after how badly the magical one went, because I was like, do you know what, fantasy is not happening at the minute, we just need to accept it. So I found an alternate. So let me just tell you the 3 classes that we're going to do, and then I'll tell you which one we're starting with and the books, because that's how this works. Okay, so my martial classes are Barbarian, Fighter and Ranger. If you've seen my other D&D content, you know that I have mostly played a Ranger. My Ranger character, Saria, has been, I've been playing her for like 7 years, and somehow she has survived pretty much despite herself, because she's constantly almost getting herself killed. How I am the only one in that D&D group that's on their original character, I don't know. Like everyone else is on like a second character, and she's still going even though she's trying so hard not just to get herself killed, but to take everyone down with her. And the only other D&D character I've ever played was for a one-shot that Smash ran, and that was a barbarian called Bearheart, who honestly holds my heart. I want to play her again. She was so much fun. So she was a Goliath barbarian who was mostly there to have songs written about her. No tragic backstory, no real goal, just to go in and be heroic and just have stories told about her. That was her whole MO. So I'm going to bookend this vlog with the 2 classes that I've played. So we're going to go Barbarian, Fighter, Ranger, and finish off in what should be my comfort zone. And in fact, I would say that the books that I've picked for Ranger are probably my comfort zone as well. So it should be a really good end. Touch wood. My God, why would I jinx it like that? As I say, our first class is going to be Barbarian, and our buzzwords that Smash provided me with is punch first, ask questions later, strong boy, quick to anger, wild men and clans. So those are kind of like the vibe that we're going for. So the book that I've picked is why am I doing this to myself? I'm gonna read Ice Planet Barbarians. Am I okay? I'm gonna read Ice Planet Barbarians. What do I know about this? There's big barbarians, and I honestly don't know, but I think it's like I think there's a lot of like smuttiness. Everybody loves it, okay? I'm scared, but everybody seems to really like it. My manga pick, I'm a little bit bummed about. Okay, so not because of what I've picked, because I'm really excited. I'm going to read Berserk, which I've heard amazing things about, and Guts, the main character from Berserk, sounds like a real barbarian character. He sounds like he fits this kind of class so well. But because me and Smash have been planning this for a while, right? And I requested this manga from my library in January. The thing is that there is one physical copy of Berserk Volume 1 in the whole of Norfolk. One. And it was currently on loan from the Norwich branch. Fine, no problem. I knew I had plenty of time. I asked if I could go second for Marshall because I wanted to wait for it to come in, and I put my reserve in and I waited. That volume was supposed to be returned on the 5th of February. It is now the 25th of February and they have not returned it. So I've cancelled my reservation because I don't want to put off starting this vlog any longer, and I've bought the Kindle version for £2.99. I didn't particularly want to read it on my Kindle. I wanted the physical version, but obviously that's not going to happen. So if anybody watching this has the one singular Volume 1 of Berserk that is available in the whole of Norfolk from the library, please return it, my dude. You're very late. So I don't have anything to hold up because I'm reading both of these on Kindle. Listen, Ice Planet Barbarians could be a good time. I'm nervous about it. Berserk should be really good. I'm really excited for that. So, you know, hopefully this is going to be better than the magical vlog. I'm going to start Ice Planet Barbarians very soon, and I will be back with updates as we go. Just pray for me, friends. Okay, because if this goes as badly as the magical vlog, like I can't. I'll quit reading. I don't mean that, but I just I need this to go well. I really need this vlog to go well. Okay, it's the next day and I made the dubious decision to start the audiobook at work today. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. It is, I knew going in it was going to be like graphic. I've heard a lot about the series. Part of it is on me because I don't think I did the research. I didn't realise that there was trigger warnings at the beginning of the Kindle version. It doesn't say them on the beginning of the Audible version, which is a shame because I would have maybe liked the forewarning of how it starts. So this book has trigger warnings for like rape and dubious consent, which I wasn't aware of going in. So the beginning was very uncomfy for me, and I was just kind of like, I'm not sure. I wasn't expecting it to kind of have this tone, but the trigger warnings were available. I just hadn't seen them because they weren't on the audio version. Also, I was under the impression this was a much longer book. I was very surprised that the audiobook was so short. Still didn't twig. This book is less than 200 pages. Did not know this. According to Goodreads, it's like 188. Obviously, I have the Kindle version and the audio version, and my brain just didn't twig. My brain just didn't twig. The Audible version is like 5.5 hours or something, and I just didn't twig that it was going to be such a short read. I think I have like an hour and a half, maybe just under 2 hours left of the audio. If I can get through it without anyone looking at me tomorrow, I could complete it tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be like a 5 for me. I don't see myself continuing the series, if I'm honest. But I mean, it does exactly what it says it's going to do. I will say there has been zero lead up. But I say zero lead up. The opening is about like these girls getting abducted by a group of aliens. Then there is the scene. I understand the point of it is to make these aliens horrendous, like to really drive home how horrendous they are and how little they view the women as, if that makes sense. But the very first scene, possible spoilers, the very first scene with the, like, what I assume is the good alien, he has decided, well, he knows that she is his mate, which I'm not sure how I feel about, and went down on her whilst she was unconscious or passed out. I mean, when she woke up, she seemed pretty into it, but still, like, I don't know how I feel about it. There is like an author's note at the beginning of the Kindle version, which I just found as I was like having a look at it, where Reba Dixon, the author, basically says, I wrote this at a time when I was reading a lot of dark romance. So the beginning of this is a lot darker than the rest of the series. So I'm assuming that that means that a lot of this kind of non-con and dub-con stuff, this rape stuff, is left in book 1. I still don't know if that will be enough for me to continue the series. But then I haven't even finished this one, so what do I know? I don't know. I just don't think I was expecting that dark tone. Maybe I would feel differently if I'd had like the pre-warning, which I should have had. But just going into the Audible version, I was like, oh, because I'm only like 70 pages in, and there's been a lot. I tell you what's been said a lot. The word pussy has been said so many times, and I cringe a little every time it's said. Let's see. As I say, we're only 70 pages in. Anything could happen, but I'm not thinking this is going to be a 5-star start. I did this to myself. I made this decision for myself. Hello. Excuse my terrible hair. I've done a workout and I've not sorted my hair out yet. I finished Ice Planet Barbarians. Can't even look at you. I think I'm going to give it a 3. Part of me wants to rate it lower, on my own personal enjoyment, but I'm going to give it a 3 because it did exactly what it said it was going to do. I mean, it said it was alien smart, and it was alien smart, so I can't fault it. It wasn't badly written. I mean, there was plot. It was secondary to the smut times, but it was there. So I'm gonna give it a 3. Okay, it's a 3. It was fine. I finished listening to it at work today, and somebody, as I was listening to quite a graphic bit, came over and offered me a tea, and I genuinely wanted to scream at them, no, go away. But I just very politely turned it down. Had to keep reminding myself, they can't hear what you can hear. They don't know. It's fine. So, spoilers. I mean, it is exactly what it says it's going to be. These women, they get abducted by bad aliens. They get abandoned, basically, on a ice planet. And then these barbarians, or this barbarian finds one of them, and it goes from there. I'm going to talk about my main issues with it in a second, but I mean, the smut was pretty good. You know, it was pretty good. Like I say, it wasn't badly written. It did exactly what it said it was going to do. So I understand why people really like this series. I won't be continuing it, because I found that there was just too much dubiousness about it. For quite a lot of the book, they don't speak the same language. So although she does consent to sex, she doesn't consent to being mated and impregnated, which is what happens. So there was something about that that really didn't sit right with me. Like, I found it uncomfy, because although she does kind of like take, once she's able to understand him, once they're able to understand each other, she does kind of take ownership of that, and it's like, well, you may say I'm your mate, but I can reject you. I think the most uncomfy thing about it was, for me, was that every time they were doing the deed, she would make some comment of like, oh, it's a good job with different species, so you can't impregnate me. Well, she doesn't say impregnate, but you know, she can't get me pregnant. And then once they can speak the same language, he's like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I can. I probably have. Like, you're definitely, you're 95% pregnant at this point. And it was just like, icky. Icky. Yeah. And then the tribe, the barbarians, well, yeah, the Ice Planet barbarians, their tribe, there's very few women. I think there's like 4 women, and quite a lot of men. So when they find out that there's all these human women, all the men are like really excited, and that felt very icky. And she did kind of address that and be like, you know, we need to protect them, like it still has to be their choice. I don't know. I understand from the author note that the first one is darker. I don't know what the rest of it's going to be like now that it's kind of established. Now they all speak the same language. Maybe that dubiousness will be gone. But I'm just okay reading the first one. I've satisfied my curiosity, if nothing else. As to whether this fits Barbarian, yeah, it does. It does. He is 7 foot tall, very strong, fights off all of the creatures that tried to get her. But I said to Smash and Becca, because they knew I was reading this, that I felt like he was like a bard barbarian cross class, like, because he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, a strong boy and punch first, ask questions later, sure. Well, kind of fuck first, ask questions later, I guess. Because he's just like super horny all the time. And then Smash said that he was a barbarian, and I thought that was brilliant. It just made me laugh. So I'm going to go and read Berserk Volume 1 now. So hopefully in an hour or so, I should be able to come back to you with my rating for that, and we'll rate Barbarian as a class, and I'll tell you about the next one. Listen, I know it's not like the best, it's not like a 5-star start, but it's still better than Magical started, because Magical started, if you remember, with Gideon the Ninth, which was a 2. That was a massive letdown. So 3 is better. It is an improvement. And also, I think the reason that this doesn't feel like a bad start, like this still feels like a pretty good start, is because my expectations for Ice Planet Barbarians was not like as high as Gideon, so I don't feel let down. I kind of expected this is what it would be. But I've been saying that I was going to give it whoa, get away from me. The fly. What was? My expectations were pretty low. Well, not pretty low. My expectations were kind of average, but everybody's been reading that series and talking about it, and I've been saying that I was going to give it a go for years. Like a couple of years maybe, but still, I did it. I gave it a go. And now I know, and I can move on with my life. I'm going to go read Berserk. I'll update you in a bit. What is happening? Because I've literally opened Berserk. First page, first panel is a bare ass. And yes, they are doing the deed. First page. Maybe they're all barbarians. Still haven't sorted my fringe out. Let's just go with I finished Berserk. Yes. Yes. This was a 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. So I can't say that it's heavy on plot so far. We're kind of just getting introduced to the world and Guts as a character, and he is 100% a barbarian character. Like, if you asked me to give you a manga character that is, I would like to rage, it would 100% be Guts. I'll put a spoiler warning in just in case, but I generally don't know too much plot-wise yet, but we're basically going with this guy called Guts, and he has got this huge sword that doesn't look like one would actually be able to wield it. Let me just sort my phone out, sorry. But he literally cuts about, I don't know, I lost count. People and horses, people wearing armor, just cutting them clean in half. Just clean in half. It was great. I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with him as a character because he's a bit of an arsehole. I'm sure that he has reasons for that. There's obviously backstory being hinted at. He's obviously been through a lot. I just don't know what that is yet. But he's just kind of an arsehole. amazing hair, as per usual. I can't say for certain, but I feel like some of that is a front, because there are moments where I can see like genuine compassion come through, which he very quickly hides. So I think he's got like a mask up, really. But yeah, really great character. I'm really, really excited to see where this goes, which is concerning because I now need to decide whether I want to invest in this physically, in which case I really don't want to get the singular volumes, which means I have to get the massive, gorgeous deluxe editions, or do I want to keep reading this digitally? Because actually reading it digitally on my Kindle was okay. Like, it was better than on my phone, but you know, it's not like on Kindle Unlimited. I don't have Kindle Unlimited anyway, and I don't want to pay like, this was $2.99. I think like the next one's like $3.98, and I don't want to pay that much for a digital. Like, I had a look because I was like, I wonder if I can get like any other volume ones kind of cheap, and some of them are like £7.50, and I can get a physical volume from like Sci-Fi or sometimes on Amazon for like £6.99. I'm not going to spend £7 on a digital version, you know. So I'll see if I can find it. I don't really like reading manga on my phone. I do use the Shonen Jump app, but I thought if I could get the Shonen Jump app on my Kindle, that would be better. I need a better tablet or something. I don't know what I need to win the lottery and have a manga library, well, a whole library, so that space and money is not an issue. That would be great. Now I'll just buy all the things. I don't know if I said, but I'm going to give it a 5 stars, even though I don't really have any answers. Like, I'm invested in Guts as a character. I'm invested in, like, the world. It's really dark. It's really grim. Like, there's monsters and there's all the people that he's coming. Well, not all the people. Some of them are good, but there's a lot of, like, people that are just really horrendous. And one thing I did kind of notice is that a lot of the time Guts is drawn a lot darker. I mean, like, his like so as you know, manga obviously is black and white. We know this. So I've noticed that it's kind of like everyone else is drawn with like a dark grey, but he seems to be drawn more with like a black. Like, his cloak is very black, his hair is very black, like, just compared to everybody else. And so it does mean that he kind of stands out from the page quite a bit, which I like. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by this series. Do want to continue. And with that getting a 5, and Ice Planet Barbarians getting a 3, we're off to a good start, because Barbarians has scored a 4, which is more than any of the classes in the Magical Vlog. We didn't get above a 3.5. So that is a very, very promising start. So while I'm here, let me tell you about our second class. So our second class is going to be Fighter. And our buzzwords are basic, simple, easy, stabby stab, versatile in what you can do, soldier. So that's the sort of thing that we're looking for. This is the one that I changed. So originally, I was going to go for Kings of the Wild. In fact, this was the first book that I picked back when we were just doing one vlog, when I was just doing one vlog on the classes. Like, I was going to read this book. I think that I will really enjoy this book. But I'm too scared to read it right now, so I'm going to wait for better timing. I was talking to Smash about the Fighter class, and the things that she was describing just really made me think of Ripley from Aliens, or the Alien franchise. And so I decided that I wanted something with a Ripley-esque character in it. So I did some digging, and I found a book called The Scourge Between Stars. I can't say that word, apparently. The Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown. It is 165 pages, so I'm picking some really short books for this vlog. Go me. This is a sci-fi, well, it's a sci-fi horror blend, so even more up my alley. I'll just read the description to you because I don't 100% know what this is. It just gave me kind of Ripley/Alien vibes. As acting captain of the Starship Calypso, Jacqueline Albright is responsible for keeping the last of humanity alive as they limp back to Earth from their forebearers' failed colony on a distant planet. Faced with constant threats of starvation and destruction in the treacherous minefield of interstellar space, Jacqueline's crew has reached their breaking point. As unrest begins to spread throughout the ship's wards, a new threat emerges, picking off crew members in grim, bloody fashion. Jacqueline and her team must hunt down the ship's unknown intruder if they have any hope of making it back to their solar system alive. Doesn't that sound like it has alien vibes? Like, she's definitely giving me Ripley vibes. I'm excited for this one. This is also what I'm using for I Know What You're Reading next month. Wow, I forgot the name of my TBR game. I had a short sci-fi fantasy read, and this is what I picked, but I couldn't tell anyone. So this is what it is. And my manga pick is going to be Windbreaker Volume 1. This is about delinquents, and they love a fight. Delinquents love a fight. The toughest gang of juvenile delinquents serve as guardian angels of their turf. Haruka Sakura wants nothing to do with weaklings. He's only interested in the strongest of the strong. He's just started at Furin High School, a school of degenerates known only for their brawling strength. Strength they use to protect their neighbourhood from anyone who wishes it ill. But Haruka's not interested in being a hero or being part of any sort of team. He just wants to fight his way to the top. I've heard really good things about this. It just sounds like they're constantly beating each other up. Fighter behaviour, right? So I have the audiobook for The Scourge Between Stars. Is that what it's called? That one. I have the audiobook, so I'm hoping that I can read that tomorrow at work, and then I can read this tomorrow evening, and then, oh my god, this vlog is going to be ready way earlier than I thought. Watch me now absolutely procrastinate and leave it till the last minute. No, I've got this. So, hopefully next time I see you, I will be able to tell you all about The Scourge Between Stars, and it will have been brilliant, and the alien vibes would be strong, and it will be 5. It will be 2 5 stars, and we'll have our first 5-star class. Wouldn't that be so cool? Hi, we're in my bathroom, so the lighting's shit. I'm about to get in the bath and read Windbreaker, but before I do that, I wanted to give you an update on Scourge the Stars? What the hell was that book called? The book. What is it called? Oh, The Scourge Between Stars. We're not scourging stars, it's between. I give it a 3. I give it a 3. I'll tell you the main problem with this book. It's like 165 pages. I'm sorry for the echo, but I'm just going to do this quickly before I get in the bath. It's like 165 pages or something, and it tries to cram way too much in. Like, I couldn't follow who was who. There was too many characters. It was set on like a fleet of ships, and I don't know if it was on the one ship or on all the ships. There's like 6,000 people. Obviously, you're not introduced to 6,000 people because that would just be basically someone reading the phone book. But you're introduced to quite a lot of characters, and for a short book, it's too much. Like, for me personally, if I was writing 165 pages, I would make it a small cast and a small setting because it's just so hard to cram that much in. I did get the alien vibes. The main character, whose name was Jacqueline, did give me some Ripley vibes because Ripley starts off as like not a soldier, well, not a fighter, and then has to kind of like become one, and then by aliens, full disclosure, I've only ever seen Aliens. Okay, I haven't seen Alien. I'm severely lacking in my 80s action movie watching because I never kind of reached for them myself, but I do occasionally watch them with my cousin Wendy and her husband Rob, and he picked to watch Aliens. So Rob is to blame, not me. I told him I hadn't seen Alien. He said it didn't matter. Believe we did the same thing with Terminator. We watched Terminator 2. I hadn't seen Terminator, but I know the story of it. Listen, it hurts me as well. Okay? It is what it is. Let's move on. So she does kind of give me Ripley vibes because from my understanding in Alien, she is kind of just, is she a scientist or something? I can't remember, but she's not a fighter, and by the time Aliens rolls around, she's dealt with these creatures before and she's ready to fight. And that kind of happens over the course of the book, is that Jacqueline starts off as being kind of like a stand-in captain, and acting captain is the word, and then discovers these aliens on board and has to learn to be a fighter to save everyone. I don't think there's really any spoilers, but just in case, let's go for a spoiler tag. There was just too much going on. Not just so many people, but too many kind of like plot lines, because there was a plot line with an android. Was it an android? An android and the doctor that created it, and it would being weirdly sexual, and also making the android look like her dead sister, which made her very angry, obviously. There was her dad, who had locked himself away for a week, and he was the captain, and had basically just been ignoring all his duties, and people just let that slide. Absolutely not. You would break in, because he's not responding. So the CMO literally has an override to use to get into his cabin, and they don't do that. They just let him hide from his duties for a week. And then, seriously, major spoilers for the ending. It turns out that these aliens from the planet that they were originally on, because, God, I'm doing really badly. So basically, humans left Earth because we destroyed it, and they tried to settle on a new planet, and it's not worked. So now they're going back to Earth in hopes that Earth has fixed itself in the many, I guess, hundreds of years that's been away. Honestly, I'm not too sure on the details, but they're going back to Earth anyway, and they're kind of limping along. They've got all this food in storage. Oh God, there was just too much. There was just too much going on. Her mum was dead because she'd started a cult and convinced everyone to kill themselves because she said there was something on the ship. There was something on the ship. The dad knew about it and covered it up because he wanted the aliens to eat about half the ship, half the people on the ship, so that they could survive to get to Earth, because they were running out of supplies. But one of the main reasons they were running out of supplies is because the aliens had been, maybe this is a 2, because it's so convoluted for 160 pages. If this had been a 300-page book and I'd had time to sit with all these different things, I think I would rate it higher. I'm going to change my rating. I'm changing it. I'm changing it to a 2.5, okay? I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed about this because I actually genuinely thought there were some really good moments. But now that I'm trying to explain it to you, there's just too much. It's 165 pages, and there's all of these plot points, and it's too much. There was like a romance, which I wanted to get involved. I wanted to get on board with. It was a sapphic romance, but I genuinely can't even remember the other girl's name. There were so many characters kind of mentioned. I couldn't keep track of who was who. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, this is not what I wanted. So we're going to give it a 2.5, which means that even if I give Windbreaker a 5, Fighter is not going to beat Barbarian. So Barbarian's going to come out on this on top. But let's see how far out on top, because we're going to have a bath and we're going to read Windbreaker. I'm very excited for Windbreaker. But I was also excited for this. And I kind of feel bad giving it a 2.5. But I kind of sat there and I listened to it, and it dragged. 165 pages. I listened to the audio. I had to listen to the start of it twice because I couldn't follow what was going on. So it seemed to, I think it was like 2.5 hours sped up, and I feel like it took me nearly all day. Slight exaggeration, but it took me a lot longer than like 2.5 hours. I really wish that it had been set on a smaller ship with a smaller number of characters, people that I could actually care about, because when people started to die, I didn't care because I didn't know who anyone was. I really wish that it had been done on a smaller scale. If it was going to be done on this scale, I can get behind it, but it needs to be like double the length to be able to explore all these different things. I just remember at one point kind of rolling my eyes when she was like confronting the dad, because it was just so stupid. And then at the end, it all tied itself up very nicely in a little bow. Oh, because there was also some other life form that kept attacking the ship, but they couldn't understand them, and they didn't really know whether they were being attacked or not, or what was happening. And then conveniently, the doctor, before he died, the one that was weirdly obsessed with the android, had figured it out, and the android used this chip to speak to the other life forms, who basically just put the ship back in our solar system. So it just tied together very, very neatly. So, do you know what? I had 2 options for this. I feel like I should have picked the other one. But it's done now. What's done is done. I've read this. 2.5 is my rating. I'm going to have a bath. I'm going to fix. I'll look more presentable next time I see you. This is a whole look, isn't it? The only thing that you can see is my cool halo hair. Well, not like that, but you can see that it's like dark and then purple underneath, which I'm really loving at the minute. So I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to have a bath. That's what I'm going to do. So hopefully I'll be back with another 5-star manga. At least the manga, well, no, I was going to say, no, let's not say that, because we're not jinxing anything. Just let the manga continue to be good, please. Predictably, I got distracted in the bath by TikTok, so I didn't read Windbreaker. But I've read it now, just a lot later than planned, because now it's like almost midnight and I was planning on getting an early night. Not going to happen, is it? This has a lot more heart than I was expecting. I did see a couple of people talk about how like it's really cool to see a comeback of like characters describing or revealing their backstory and getting to know the characters through the fighting. So like even when they're fighting, there's like the monologue going on. I personally, because I'm doing catch up, hadn't noticed that wasn't a thing anymore, because so much of what I'm reading has been out a while. So, but I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone saying how it was like nice to see that making a comeback. And I agree. I thought it was really, really well done. We're basically following this guy called Hikaru Sakura. And he has moved, I shouldn't keep pulling it up. He's moved to this town because he's going to go to the school, because this high school that he's heard is like full of delinquents. And I better put spoilers just in case. Full of delinquents. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to basically beat everyone up and I'm going to become like the top of the delinquent school. Like that is what he's after. He is very strong. He's very good fighter. Definitely fits for like the fighter class. Perfect pick. Although he does also have some Barbarian-esque traits, because he very much is like punch first, ask questions later. But he also is just like keen for a fight, so he does fit for fighter. So his plan is to kind of like join the school so that he can become the top of the school. He just basically wants to beat everyone up and you know, be the strongest. But when he gets to the town, it's very different than what he was expecting, and it turns out that like all the kids at this school, and again spoilers, all the kids at this school are seen as heroes. Like they protect the town. They protect it from people that come outside and try and start like problems. They protect the townsfolk from crime and all this sort of stuff. And the townspeople love them. They really love them. And he's trying to wrap his head around that, Sakura. He's trying to kind of understand what's going on, because this is not his experience. His life experience is very much that people take one look at him and almost treat him with like fear, because his hair, this is natural. So his hair is naturally two colors, and so are his eyes. Like one's blue and one's like a browny gold. And for some reason, people take one look at him, once they realize that it's not something that he's not wearing contact lenses and that's his natural hair, they treat him differently. Like he's obviously been let down a lot in his past, so there's a lot of backstory that we need to unfold, but it's clear that he hasn't really had anyone to care for him, anybody to like support him. He seems very on his own. He's a first year at high school, but I think he's come to the town totally alone. And it's just kind of sad in a way, because every time somebody tries to do something nice for him, he doesn't really know how to react, because he gets involved in this fight on like the first day that he's in town, and he doesn't realize that he's protecting the town because he's just having a fight. But the townsfolk are like, oh, you really, protected us. Those guys were really scary. And they start giving him stuff to like say thank you, and he just does not know how to handle that. Like, he doesn't understand. And that's quite sad, because I'm waiting to kind of get more of his backstory, but it feels like he's not really had a lot of that. Like, he's obviously not had a lot of people treat him well. There was a bit where he said something about it had been a long time since he touched anyone that wasn't as part of like a fight, and it was like he was shaking someone's hand. Yeah, there's just something about him that I feel really sorry for him. He would hate that, but I feel really sorry for him because there's obviously a lot of stuff that he's dealt with. So far we've been introduced to a lot of characters, but everyone's kind of had like a really good introduction and has left me with some questions, like how people link together. I'm very intrigued by the head of the school because I've only seen like a silhouette and like him from behind. We haven't seen his face yet. We've only got like a name, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to go. So I might need to order volume 2. I think volume 2 and 3 are out, so I might need to get my hands on those soon. But I really enjoyed that. I wasn't expecting it. It left on a bit of a cliffhanger as well, so I do want to kind of know what happens next. But I kind of went into it thinking that it was just going to be just kids fighting, but there's so much heart in it. All the delinquents in this school, they really want to protect their town. Yeah, I kind of love it. 5 stars. 5 stars. Where's my phone? Right in front of me. Wow. Let me put, I need to go to sleep. Let me put the rating in the spreadsheet so we can see. We know it's not going to be Barbarian, but let's see what it comes out as. 3.75. So unsurprisingly, it is our second highest class over the 2 videos. So for this video at the minute, it's Barbarian Fighter. We got one more class, Ranger, and I'm gonna tell you about that tomorrow because I don't have the stuff. It's in the other room. It's there, but I have no spoons. I have 0 spoons. My spoons are gone. I need to go to sleep. So I'm not going to read any at work tomorrow anyway, because they're both physical reads. So I will tell you about them tomorrow at some point. But so far, this might be my favourite thing I've read over the 2 vlogs. I think so. Manga wise, I mean, might as well write the books off at this point. We've got one more chance to have a good one. But manga wise, I had Platinum End, My Hero Academia, Fairy Tail, Berserk and Windbreaker. And this is definitely my favourite. I would say it's this, then Berserk, Platinum End, Fairy Tail, My Hero at the moment. But just remember, this is basing it off like 1 volume. And I have to say as well that none of the manga has got below a 4. So that's good. And I would say that I'm pretty keen to continue all of those. Do you know what? I know that this is going off topic now because we're going back to the magical vlog, but I gave Platinum End a 5. I gave Fairy Tail a 4. I stand by that rating, but the one that I'm most keen to continue is Fairy Tail. Oh, Windbreaker. But Fairy Tail out of the magical vlog because it was just a really fun time. I just had a lot of fun with that volume. And sometimes that's nice. But yeah, Windbreaker. This is going to be one that I'm going to enjoy. So I need to get my hands on the next volumes. I keep looking over there as well because I have the next bind-up of Tokyo Revengers. And obviously there are some similarities because they're both about delinquents. But I would say that the tone of Tokyo Revengers feels a lot darker. Even though I can tell that Windbreaker is going to probably cover some stuff, like it's a lot more lighthearted. There's a lot more comedy moments in it, so that's nice because now I have like 2 delinquent series that I'm really enjoying, so that's good. Happy for me. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm gonna go to bed, and when I speak to you next, I will tell you what I'm reading for our final class. This vlog is going so quick, but I don't have anything. I'm not doing anything. Like last vlog, I went out for the day in Norwich, but I'm not going anywhere. So you're just gonna have to have updates from me and my house. It's super late on Friday night, and I am on the Marvelathon opening sprints, but I've just popped through to tell you about the final class because I want to tell you about it and start reading tomorrow, because tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, it'll be Sunday, but tomorrow I'm actually playing D&D. We have D&D day. It's happening. I did speak to the guys and ask if they minded if I filmed a bit, so I might have some B-roll for you. I don't know how much, I don't know what's going to go down because it's D&D, but I'll try and take a few clips of our day. We always have a really good time. Like, we're going to get a takeaway, and obviously we'll play Dungeons and Dragons, but we'll probably watch something as well. And when the 5 of us get together, we always just kind of have like a good old catch up to start. So we'll probably like do that first and have some like lunch or something, then play, and then I don't know, but it's going to be a good time. I'm really excited. It's been so long. I think we've been trying to plan this one since like October. So it takes a while. Anyway, our final class is Ranger. Our buzzwords are pew pew, as in pew pew, hunting, good in forests, and Miss Independent. So I'm very excited for what I've picked. So the first thing, the book that I've picked is Desert Creatures by Kay Cronister. This was a Abominable Book Club book that I haven't really stopped thinking about since I hauled it. Like, I'm really excited for this book. So I'll read the back to you. An unknown devastation has swept across the United States. A sickness causes the dead to flower and sprout fruit, and the promise of miracles draws pilgrims from all over to the holy city of Las Vegas. Magdala and her father flee their home in the Sonora Desert, setting out across the wasteland in search of a cure for her disability. As they pass through blasted cities and ruined towns, they are forced to join with a group of survivors making their own pilgrimage. But the road to Las Vegas is filled with danger, strange cults occupying the wreckages of towns, and uncanny stuffed men roaming the desert. As a strange sickness begins to take hold, the band of survivors grows even thinner and months turn to years. Magdala finds herself placing her trust in the most unlikely of places, and the closer she gets to her holy destination, the further from salvation she seems. So, obviously, in this, there's not really kind of like a bow and arrow type fighter. It's not like the pew pew thing, but Miss Independent it fits for, because it feels like the main character is going to be quite strong and kind of looking out for herself. There's a lot to do with like surviving in harsh conditions, and rangers kind of, a lot of their skill set is being able to like live off the land. So yeah, I might be bending it slightly, but sue me, I think it's going to work. I think that when I get into it, there's going to be a lot of kind of this survival type thing, which I feel fits Ranger really, really well. And then I really tried to find a manga. I really tried. But everything that I thought of, I was either already using, or I had already started the series, and I really didn't want to have started the series. So I'm instead going to read both volumes of Old Man Hawkeye. Hawkeye is my favourite Marvel character, and this is when he's an old man and still being a badass, and I want to read about it. It's a dystopian, and I don't remember the exact storyline, but he is obviously, like, out of every character that I've picked, Clint Barton is a ranger, obviously. Not just because you use a bow and arrow. Well, maybe. But he's like the first thing that you think of. Like, if you're thinking of like rangers in popular culture, he's one of the first things you think about. I may be a little bit biased, but I don't care. So I'm not going to read the whole back of these two, but I know that the superheroes have fallen, the villains have divided up the country, yet Clint Barton still lives. Hell yeah, he does. And then there's like some dystopian thing. They've come back from sprints. I can hear them. So I'm going to go, but that's what I'm going to be reading. And hopefully tomorrow I will take some clips from D&D, and when I speak to you next, I'll speak to Desert Creatures. I have to admit, now that I've read this, I'm second guessing whether it fits for Ranger, but I'm sure that when I sent it to Smash, we agreed that it did, and I'm sure it's because of this whole, like, surviving off the land thing, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna go. Sorry if you can hear spits in the background. I'll speak to you guys when I have an update for you. Hopefully we all now get to enjoy some D&D clips. It's been a hot minute since I updated this vlog because I found it really hard to get into Desert Creatures, but I have now finished it. And when I selected the books for these vlogs, like, I genuinely thought that I was going to really enjoy them all, and over the 2 vlogs it's just been disappointment after disappointment. I set all my hopes on this one being a 5-star, and it was a 2.5. I wanted to love this so much, but I don't get it. I don't get the back cover, because the back cover sounds amazing, and the inside just didn't really have any of that creepiness that the back cover was promising. I'm going to read the back cover to you, and as I go, I'm going to just explain my issues with it. An unknown devastation has swept across the United States. A sickness causes the dead to flower and sprout fruit, and the promise of miracles draws pilgrims from all over to the holy city of Las Vegas. True. That premise is something that I was really interested in and really excited for. Magdala and her father flee their home in the Sonora Desert, setting out across the wasteland in search of a cure for her disability. As they pass through blasted cities and ruined towns, they are forced to join with a group of survivors making their own pilgrimage. I mean, kind of, but not really. But the road to Las Vegas is filled with danger, strange cults occupying the wreckage of towns, and uncanny stuffed men roaming the desert. Roaming, even. I mean, that is in there, very briefly. If it was more of that, I would have really enjoyed it. As a strange sickness begins to take hold, the band of survivors grows even thinner and months turn to years. Magdala finds herself placing her trust in the most unlikely of places, and the closer she gets to her holy destination, the further from salvation she seems. Not really. Okay, so spoilers. This book is split into 3 sections, and each section takes place after a time jump, and they are linked because you are following Magdala the whole way through. But most of the rest of that is like really briefly in there. There is a strange cult. It's at the beginning. There's a small bit of them at the beginning and a small bit of them at the end. And that's about it. There is no group of survivors. And this is definitely a spoiler. Magdala and her father are on the run as soon as you meet them. and they come across this town, and in typical kind of like dystopian fashion, the men have taken on the role of like hunters and leaders and are making the women be like the breeders, which was fun. There's some serious like kind of trigger warnery stuff in this, because there's basically a paedophile character, and I feel like that could have been handled a bit better, because although they discuss it as the fact that he likes them young, I feel like there should have been more, especially like her dad did a complete 180 character switch in the space of like half of the first section, because there's no chapters, not even half. Like he did in probably like 20 pages, his character completely switched, because he started off being like, I need to protect my daughter. He gets her branded with his name, because all the women have to be branded with names like fucking cattle, and he gets her branded with his name to protect her, and then basically does nothing else to help her, basically becomes one of those men. When they finally leave that, they kind of have to go on the run, and there's a group of them go on the run, and the men are just all dicks about it. Like there's women and children with them, and they're just dicks, and they take the paedophile character with them. And then the thing that almost made me DNF it, and I can't stress enough, like if you don't like things about babies and child harm, because even though it's like really brief and it kind of happens off page, they basically kill the baby. Like they're traveling with a baby, the mum dies, and the dad kills the baby. And I was like, I don't know if I want to read this. You know? When you get to the second section, there's a male character that's kind of okay. But every other male character in it is just horrendous. And it's all just horrific. And the thing that I can kind of understand that, because if that's the discussion that you want to have, but at the same time, like I don't know that I appreciated how it was like addressed. Maybe it was just a bit like, it almost felt like it had been done just to say men are shit, without really giving any kind of discussion on why it was happening and how it was being allowed to happen, and how it was just kind of continuing. And there were this one good male character, and there must have been others, and why weren't they stepping up? And what happened if they did step up? Why didn't we ever see like somebody try and step up, and all this kind of stuff? And women all just took it. And I just think, like, although that can be true, that is not going to be a universal experience. And I just felt like there needed to be more on that discussion, if that makes sense. The uncanny stuffed men roaming the desert, that did happen, but I would have preferred if that was where our kind of like focus was. If we were just talking more about what had happened to them, and if they were like, because they were kind of dangerous, like they could have been attacking people more, but they were just kind of there. This book, right, it's not a horror, because although the uncanny stuff men, when they were there and they had like this creepiness to them, they were so barely involved in the story, you know, that when they did appear, I'd kind of forgotten they existed. And there was so much potential there, because these men, or these bodies, are supposed to be rooted into the ground, but then they start being able to roam, and that's terrifying, because then you've got like a zombie type situation, because they're corpses which have been taken over by something else. So that could have been really good, and like the idea of it was really good, but it just wasn't executed very well. Like it wasn't creepy, there was no I just don't like, this is beautifully and disturbingly told. I didn't think it was disturbing at all. I actually think that this book is less a horror and more a discussion on religion, because a lot of this is about sainthood, and in this world where it's kind of been destroyed, but no one really understands like what happened. And it's quite a long time after it's all been destroyed, so they're living in this like wasteland, but religion has become like a big thing. There are religious cults. There is this idea that you can get healed if you can go to Las Vegas, where all the saints are, and where that's where the church is now, which is just a wild concept anyway, and I loved that in theory. But I don't know, it was just all about religion, and I don't feel like any of the creepy stuff that I was after was there. So this was not a win for me, unfortunately. If this had been marketed as a discussion on the perils and positives of religion in a dystopian wasteland, I probably would have read it and enjoyed it. But because I went into it expecting horror, I was like, but when is it going to get like creepy? And it just never did. So it's a 2.5. We are not winning. We are not winning. So all I have left to finish this vlog is to read Old Man Hawkeye, and I'm really hoping that this is gonna end us on a high, because the manga for these vlogs has been working really well, so I'm hoping that the graphic novels are going to do the same. And I really really hope that this is kind of the end of the bad books for vlogs. I have some other vlogs in the works, and I just really need the books to work better, because this has not been a good run. I think we had, what did we even have in the first one? I've blocked it out. Was it like a 2, a DNF 3 and a 2, and then we've had 2 3s and a 2.5 in this one. I mean, that's not great. It's not great, is it? So let's hope Old Man Hawkeye is going to be my saving grace. And then we're just going to pray that future vlogs have better books. Hello, please ignore the state of my hair because I'm about to jump in the shower. But before I wanted to do that, I wanted to update you and close out this vlog, because I read Old Man Hawkeye on sprints last night, both volumes, and I really enjoyed it. They were both a solid 4 stars, so it's an easy 4 stars overall. And also, just very quickly before I tell you about it, I got one of the ratings wrong when I was updating you on Desert Creatures last night. So the Scourge Between Stars was a 2.5. So I'll go through the ratings again in a minute, but I just wanted to say that before I forgot. So Old Man Hawkeye, like I say, solid 4 stars. Really enjoyed the story. What I found is that the basic premise of Old Man Hawkeye is that all of the superheroes, or the majority of the superheroes, have been wiped out by some of the villains led by Red Skull, and Clint is one of the few that is left alive. There are like a handful of others, one of them being Logan, because I believe Old Man Logan runs on from this. I actually think Old Man Logan was written first and this was released after, but don't quote me on that. So Logan is, you kind of see him, but then he is not really involved in this story like it's in the next one. But it's, oh yeah, well you can see Logan's there on the front. And then from this you can tell that Kate Bishop is also still alive. So those guys are kind of like the last ones left standing. It's been like 45 years and something spurns Clint on to decide to go out for vengeance, and he starts to go out and try and avenge all of the people that died. And, you know, Red Skull has turned the world into like a real shit show. It's set in like a place called the Wastelands, I think it was, and the kind of aesthetics of it was really cool. Like I liked the art style, and it was just very kind of westerny and like an old western and things. So they were the good things. Solid story. I liked the concept of it. I thought it was executed really well. The reason that I didn't give it a 5 stars is this is kind of a gripe with a lot of Marvel things, and this is mostly just because I am a kind of casual Marvel reader. So because Marvel has so much history, sometimes when you pick up a title, it relies on or makes references to something in the Marvel history, of which there is a lot of it. And so sometimes you kind of get a little bit lost. And I think this could have avoided it if it had put the first section of the second volume at the beginning of the first volume, because this explained kind of the event, whereas I spent half of this wondering if I was supposed to know the event from something else, and just I hadn't read whatever that was in, but it was explained in this. So if that had been at the beginning of this one, I think I would have enjoyed it more, because I spent a lot of time wondering whether I was missing out on something, missing out on some context, because I'm a casual reader. I have like no qualms in admitting that most of the Marvel stuff that I read is Hawkeye. I have read a few other things, Avengers stuff, but most of the stuff that I've actually kept has been Hawkeye or Young Avengers, which I really enjoy. And then I have a lot of the big events. So I think I have Secret Invasion, Marvel Zombies, which I still haven't read, House of M, and Civil War. But I kind of either knew about them. They're like the big events, aren't they? So, you know, some of them have been part of the films. So I basically wanted to read Old Man Hawkeye because it's Hawkeye. And the biggest thing that I take away from it is that I'm better off reading things that are kind of more self-contained. And I guess this is kind of self-contained in a way. But like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye series is very much its own little world almost. And I know that some of that got taken and put into the Hawkeye series, but the comics, you can kind of read them and they make sense just totally on their own. And that is how I prefer it, because if it starts alluding to a lot of stuff in the Marvel expanded universe and expanded history, I get a little bit lost. It's a general thing that I have with Marvel at the minute anyway. Like, I still like so much of the old Marvel stuff, and I say the old Marvel stuff, the old Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, and stuff that I was reading around that time, which is obviously not old Marvel stuff because Marvel's been going on for so long, but you know what I'm saying. The newer stuff I am totally out of the loop with, because they promised us that it was gonna be like more standalone stuff, like you would be able to watch the movies or watch the TV shows completely independently, and that has not turned out to be true. And now there's just so much of it, like there's so many movies, there's so many TV shows, I can't keep up. I have definitely kind of checked out. There are a few things that I still really want to watch. Like, I still really enjoying the Spider-Man movies and the Into the Spider-Verse movies, and I'm definitely going to see Deadpool, because I kind of see Deadpool and obviously Into the Spider-Verse as well as like totally separate things. But it's just a shame, because there was a period of time where like a new Marvel movie was like such a huge event, but now there's just so many of them, there's just so much content that I can't keep up. This is a rant. This is this is a tangent. This was very good, and I would definitely consider getting Old Man Logan to continue this, because I find this story really interesting. And I just like me some Clint content. So okay, so let's talk about some overall thoughts. So with Desert Creatures getting 2.5 and Old Man Hawkeye getting 4, Ranger actually placed bottom of this vlog, which I'm surprised about, because I genuinely thought it was going to place top. Desert Creatures just did not hit the mark for me. And if I think about how it kind of relates to the Ranger class, I'm not sure. I think it had the potential, but because of the way it was executed, like the way that I had tried to put it into Ranger was to make it kind of living off the land and the survival thing, and to an extent that was in it, but I'm not sure. But it didn't work for me anyway. Old Man Hawkeye obviously got a 4. Definitely fits for Ranger, because 1, Hawkeye uses a bow and arrow and is definitely kind of a Ranger-esque character, and 2, they are surviving in like a pretty horrendous world. So yeah, I would say that works. Coming in second place would be Fighter. The Scourge Between Stars also got a 2.5. Definitely did fit for Fighter, just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And Windbreaker got 5 stars. Probably the most accurate one for the classes that I found. Was it? One of them, definitely. It's really accurate for Fighter. I had such a good time with that first volume, and I would say that I have the next 3 volumes, but I'm still waiting for volume 2. So I have volumes 3 and 4. I can't continue it, but I have them. And that class got a 3.75 overall. And then the winner, if we're making a winner, is going to be Barbarian. Ice Planet Barbarian's got a 3. It was fine. It was fine. It definitely fits for Barbarian, 100%. Am I going to continue the series? No, but it was fine. And Berserk got a 5, and that made it a 4 overall. Berserk and Windbreaker are my 2 biggest wins from this vlog, unsurprisingly. But they were fantastic. I really enjoyed them. If we look at the 2 vlogs overall, coming in last place was Wizard with 3 stars. This is not surprising. Strange the Dreamer getting a 2. Fairy Tale getting a 4. It kind of makes me very sad that Fairy Tale is in the lowest category, because I actually am really keen to continue that. I had a really fun time with it, but it is what it is. Next would be Ranger, which is a shame. That's 3.25. Then Cleric and Sorcerer tied on 3.5. And then Fighter at 3.75 and Barbarian on 4. So Barbarian was definitely the winner. I'm really sad that we didn't get a 5-star read, a 5-star book read on either of the 2 vlogs, but the manga did really good. I think that the books did fit quite well with their classes in a way. Like, each one I can see, yes, I was right to kind of make this link, so that's good. But it wasn't the win that I thought it was going to be, was it? So the classes vlogs are done. Next is the readathon. I am feeling a lot more positive about the character I've created and the books I've picked for the prompts, so that should be much better. I think I might do a vlog for it, I'm not sure. Will there be any more D&D content vlogs coming up? I don't know. I kind of want to do something, because I feel like the 2 vlogs that I have done have not exactly been winners, and I would quite like to do another one, so we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll come up with another way to do a D&D vlog. I'll brainstorm with Smash, I'm sure she'll help me. In the comments below, let me know any thoughts that you have on the books that I read for this vlog, or let me know a book that you think would have fit for one of the classes, or if you just want me to know you're here, that per part is always appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed and like to see more content from me, remember to hit that button, leave a like if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one.